Number one question, actually the top two questions that I got was what is my AFSC, aka what is my job, and about open general, because most of you know, if you don't know, I came in open general. So my job is 4Y, which is a dental assistant. And as far as open general, okay, you remember the list of jobs that you made? I don't know if it was with your recruiter or at MEPS, corresponding to your ASVAB scores. It's kind of like that, but I want to say in the second or third week of training, you go to this like career guidance something something, and you make another list like that. Except for on this list, it's a more condensed list, and it's jobs that are available now. So when I got that list, dental assistant was on my list, aerospace, services, security forces, things like that. But mostly medical jobs. I had mostly medical jobs. And I was okay with that because medical was what I wanted to do in the first place. So I think I put maybe 4 or 5 jobs on my list. There's not a minimum or max. You could choose all of them. You could choose one. You could choose 2 of them. So I put dental as my first choice, and luckily for me, I got it. A lot of people got their first or second choice from, what people were telling me. But you don't find out what you got until, I want to say, the 6th or 7th week. So that was always like, oh my gosh, in the back of your mind. But if I were you, honestly, I wouldn't be afraid to go open general, just because, look, I got the job that I wanted. But there were some people that ended up with services. Shit happens. I mean, Air Force needs come first. So if they needed you, they needed to fill those spots, somebody has to do it. All right, so another question that I got in the comments was, how were my first 2 weeks compared to my last 2 weeks? Well, my first 2 weeks were a blur. I mean, the whole experience for me was kind of a blur, but especially my first 2 weeks, I do remember key points from them though. Like, I want to say by that Friday of your 0 week of training, you have your ABUs, which is your uniform, and your PT gear or whatever. And the first week, you're getting shots and going to appointments, things of that nature. Second week, what did we do in the second week that was like significant? The second week was kind of like getting more into the swing of how things went, as far as how things went for PT, how it was eating chow at the DFAC, basically just getting used to doing something every minute that you're awake there. Like, literally every minute that you're awake, you're doing something. So compared to my last 2 weeks, we were still doing things. Like, the workload didn't lessen. Like, you still had things that you had to do every day. But as far as for me, my first 2 weeks, I was just like, my last 2 weeks, I was like, oh yeah, I got this. I know what to do, what not to do. All this, like, I'm comfortable. I'm more comfortable. So let's see. Another question was, as far as what I packed, what could I keep, what couldn't I keep? And I got to keep everything that I packed. I know you saw that I had travel size bottles of things. As long as they're labeled, like face wash, conditioner, moisturizer, whatever, they should let you keep them. I know I talked to a few people who their MTIs wouldn't let them keep it. So I guess it's just to their discretion. Like, if they say get rid of it, then obviously you have to get rid of it. My MTIs let me keep my things because they were labeled. So I know somebody made a comment about makeup. I brought makeup, not like my whole, tote or whatever, but I did bring like a mascara, a brow pencil, stuff like that, like small things. And I just put it in a Ziploc bag. And all they do with the things that they don't let you keep, usually they won't tell you to throw it away unless it's something that's unauthorized. But they'll just tell you to put it in your civilian luggage, and they lock that up anyway. So it's not like you're like wasting your stuff. But so yeah, bring your makeup. You know, if you're a girl, you want to bring your makeup. You won't be using it throughout BMT, but you'll have it for like town pass when you graduate. But keep in mind, you will be in Texas, and I am about 3 or 4 shades darker than what I was when I started BMT. So your makeup may not be your color, which was my case. So I brought it and I couldn't even use it because it wasn't even my color. So just keep that in mind. Let's see. In the 3rd week of training, I think that's when we got to have our get our name tape sewn onto our uniforms. You know, your last name and then U.S. Air Force. And that was like, that had everybody hyped because it was like, man, you know, we've been here long enough to have our names on our uniform. And that name means something to you. You know what I mean? So that was cool. In the 4th week, that was the gas chamber. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous about it because I was in the last group of people that went, and I saw everybody come out and they were like, had snot running down their nose, they had tears, they were coughing and gagging. I was like, oh my God. But it wasn't that bad. It sucked. Please don't get me wrong. It sucked, but I would do it again if they paid me, if that makes sense. So there's that. And then Beast was fun to me. It had suck parts because we only had like 3 shower heads for our whole flight out there and 3 bathroom stalls. And it's like you took a shower twice a day, but you never felt clean because you were always sweating or always outside. Beast is what you make of it. It can be fun. When you get to be, try to be on the par teams. Like, that was the best. It was so fun. The mop gear sucked, like the, full mask and all that stuff. It sucked because it was hot, but it was fun, It doesn't last forever. I mean, that's how it's going to be in a deployed environment. So you might as well make the best of it. 6th week of training was when we took our EOC. I know a lot of people stressed themselves out about the EOC while, at least some people in my flight. I didn't stress myself out about it. I was like, I've been paying attention in class, and I feel like I retained enough information to pass this test, which I did. So if I were you, I wouldn't stress myself out about it. But if you're in class and you're not listening, because the hardest thing in BMT is staying awake, because you're always tired. Literally, I've never been that tired in my life. Let me just pause for a second. I've never been that exhausted every day in my life. So that was something to get used to. But as long as you try to stay up in class and listen, you'll be fine. It's a multiple choice test. You'll be fine. And if you fail, you get to retake it. So everybody should be fine. So the 7th week of training was graduation. The time everybody waits for, right? So we had the coin ceremony that Thursday, and then we had the actual graduation that Friday. And lo and behold, I was band flight. How did I get into band flight, you may ask? I don't know. Because literally, they asked when we first got there, oh, who plays an instrument? I didn't raise my hand. I don't think anybody in the group that I was with raised their hand. But we were band flight. They were like, oh, well, doesn't matter, you're band flight anyway. And we're like, great. So, let's see. Somebody asked me about the showering situation. I was in Disneyland, like the new dorms or whatever. Oh, loved them. Loved them. I was so appreciative of those dorms, especially when I came back from Beast and like when I went to Airman's Week. I was like, oh no. But in Disneyland, I want to say we had 24 shower heads. Maybe like 12 stalls. it was enough room. So I like that. The showering, you know, you get so close with the people that you're living with that it really doesn't matter. Everybody's gonna eventually be on their period, or you know, have something going on. Somebody's not gonna shave as much as you do. Nobody cares. Nobody has time to care. If you're like really insecure about yourself, get over it, because you're gonna see what 40, 50 naked girls every day, and they're gonna see you. So suck it up.